Dear students, we are discussing a beautiful poem about To a Pair of Sarus Cranes. Before we start, we just know about Sarus crane birds. You know that? The Sarus crane is a large non-migratory crane and the tallest flying bird in the world. These elegant birds have a long pale red legs, long naked bird with a naked bright red head. Even they are known to mate for life with a single partner. So the main threat to the Sarus crane in India is habitat loss and degradation due to the draining wetlands, and one more, conversion of land for agriculture. These are the main threat. Later on, these crane birds found in the parts of Indian subcontinent, Southeast Asia, and in the parts of Australia. These Sarus crane bird species is respected in India and having a legend stories about it. You know, these Sarus crane birds even connected with Valmiki Maharshi. The poet Valmiki cursed a hunter later for killing a Sarus crane and was then inspired to write the epic Ramayana. That was very interesting story. These Sarus birds are a symbol of marital virtue, and in the parts of Gujarat there is a custom to take a newly married couple to see a pair of Sarus cranes. People widely believed in those parts that the Sarus cranes made a pairs for life. So they have a belief like this. Okay, the poem To a Pair of Sarus Crane is written by Mohan Singh. He is an IAS officer. He is not our previous Prime Minister of India. This poem describes about a pair of birds and the callousness or a cruelty of the bird killer. Female bird become alone and spends its life in a great grief and die. Look at the first stanza. The male was shot as he necked to pull the reluctant sun out from the rim of origin. Here we can find the three words. One, reluctant, it means hesitant. Second one, necked, it means stretched its neck. Third one, rim, it means edge. Here the poet want to tell us in these stanza, it is early morning when the male bird was flying in the sky at a sunrise. Suddenly the hunter shot the male bird. To the poet imaginary vision, it appears like dragging the hesitant sun out of the horizon. Here in the stanza, the poet used personification to give an exaggeration in the description, particularly in the praise reluctant sun used to describe, as it was the bird's feeling that the sun was reluctant to rise. Now look at the second stanza. She flew crying as he was picked up hands and jaws, and a proud neck was humbled to lie like a dirty linen in a coarse washing bag. In the second stanza, there is a word humbled. It means lowered the dignity of. Another word, coarse. It means rough. Here, the poet wants to tell us that female bird seeing her partner shot down, then it was crying in despair. As she saw him being picked up with the legs and jaws and threw it in a coarse washing bag like a dirty linen by the hunter. Female bird saw that her male partner was carried by the hunter and it was picked up with its legs and jaws, and later on the hunter pushed the dead body in the bag. It falls down on the ground like a rough gunny bag, as it was compared coarse washing bag. Male bird neck was earlier proud and straight, but now it looks folded and shrunk. It shows that the male bird was dead. Now look at the third stanza. She circled the sky in movements of grace over his disgraceful end. The killers went away and she returned to the death scene with a grief that inscribed its intensity in dots and pits, like a Morse code of bird sorrow transmitted to the air. Here in this stanza, the word inscribed, it means wrote or cut the word on something. And next word, Morse code. Morse code is a symbolic language invented by Sam F.B. Morse, which uses a combination of a long and short sounds or flashes of light for sending a messages. The next word, dots and pits. It means short and long cries of the female bird. In this stanza, the poet expressed that the female bird watches her partner fallen down and died. Female bird was started circling the sky with a grief, with a sorrow, due to the disgraceful death of its partner. As the killer moved away from the place where the male bird was lying dead, the female bird, which was moving in a circle manner till the hunter leave away from the death place, she returned to the death place and feel a great sadness. Her sadness has no limits. The poet compares her sorrow to the Morse code. Dear student, you know that Morse code is a symbolic language to send the messages. Here, the sounds of a Morse codes, dots and pits, are symbols of the intermittent cry and tears of the female bird, sometimes starting, stopping, starting. It means that the female bird remembered its male partner and started to cry in a louder voice. Suddenly, after a few seconds later, the sound was decreased. When it remembered the another thing, it started to cry in a louder voice. You can hear the sound of Morse code. Listen. Okay. Like this way, the female bird expressed its sorrow. So, later on, you can hear the crying sound of the bird. Listen carefully. Okay, now we can move to the next stanza. With her beak, she kissed a few feathers, picked the ones that wind had not taken away, and sat to hatch the blood-stained feathers into a toddling chick. Here the word toddling, it means walking with short unsteady steps. Here in this stanza, poet want to express the deep sorrow of the bird on the death of her male partner is very sensibly pictured by the poet. Female bird kissed the fallen feathers of the male bird. With her beak, she collected few feathers which were not taken away by the wind, and she was sitting on them as if to hatch the egg on the blood-stained feathers to a toddling chick, and female bird expecting a toddle chick to come out. This means she was not ready to accept the death of her partner and trying to save her partner. Next stanza. A wave of a seas she had never seen came to her from far away and carried her to him. She went away beyond the Hume's words, beyond the legends and fables of human love. Here, the word used, Hume's word. He is a writer. He wrote the book The Game of a Bird of India, Burma and Ceylon, 1881. In this book, he wrote on the study of Sarus Crane birds, particularly the pair birds. In that book, he wrote that I have actually known the widowed bird to pine away and die. These words written by the Humes. It means that the widowed bird, after the death of her male partner, they do not take anything, not to drink water, not to eat any food. They only making the cry and sound to calling their partner. After a day or of 2 days, they die. It was seen by the Humes. And next word, legends. It means stories from the ancient times about the people and events that may not be true. And another one, fable. It means a traditional short story that teaches a moral lesson, especially one with the animals and characters. For example, you heard the stories of Panchatantra and Aesop's fable. In the last stanza, the poet says that all these events were like a wave of a seas coming all of a sudden in the life of female Sarus bird and taken her to partner. Here he used the word wave of a sea. It refers to death of female bird. It shows the death of female bird. And poet talking about the shock of the female bird experienced at the loss of her partner and hence joined him in death. Female bird was in a great sorrow, which was beyond explanation and beyond the words of Hume and beyond the human sorrow and love. It cannot be explained in the legendic story or a fablic story. The poet shows that not only humans but also the birds lament and grieve for the loss of their partner. Even the birds also cry for the loss of their partner. Not only the human will show their lament and grief. We can understand that loss of a loved one is the worst thing anyone can handle. We can say that death leaves a heartache no one can heal. In a wonderfully word, the poet says that we loved him a lot, but God loves him more. So like this way, the poem comes to an end. We can see the short summary of the poem. The male bird was flying in the sky in the morning time. When the sunrise happened, suddenly hunter shoots the male bird. It falls down on the ground like a rough gunny bag, is thrown with the dirty cloths. Male bird neck was earlier proud and straight, but now it looks folded and shrunk. The bird picked up with the legs and jaws by the hunter. Hunter went away from that place. When a female Sarus bird saw that, it showed the great agony and desperation. She circled the sky in moments of a grace over the disgraceful death of her male partner. When the hunter went away, she descended to the death scene and expressed her grief in long and short cries. She kissed the fallen feathers of a male bird with her beak. She picked up a few blood-stained feathers and sat to hatch them into a toddling chick. In her grief, she forgot to eat and drink and pined away for her lost mate and finally died. Poet described it a wave of a seas she had never seen came to her from far away and carried her to him. At the end, the poet showed that not only human but also the birds express sorrow and grief for the loss of their partner. Okay then. Thank you, dear students.